Hello, everybody. This is jpeg2RAW, show number 30 on February 28th. And I'm your host, Mike Howard. And tonight I'm joined by Tim Kemperle. Tim?
Good evening, Mike. How's it going?
All right. And Scott. I have a problem with everybody's last name, so I'll just let you say your last name.
Wyden is my last name.
Well, welcome, Scott. And if everybody noticed, we don't have a Kathleen tonight. Kathleen, it's a little personal. She probably doesn't want me talking about it, but I'm going to say it anyway because she's not here to stop me. Kathleen is in rehab. She suffers from a disease that a lot of people have. It's, an addiction that causes you to, make rash decisions and spend a lot of money on products that you don't need. Tim, any idea what that addiction is?
A lot of camera equipment for me, that's for sure.
And it's Apple.
Oh.
No.
That would be a bad addiction.
Yeah, she's waiting in a line somewhere. No, Kathleen actually has a good friend who is probably in a hospital right now delivering or just finished delivering, and Kathleen is flying out to be with that friend and help her during these first few days, and I'm sure she's going to take some infant photos while she's with her. And I think she's going to miss obviously tonight, and she will not be here next week either. So it's just the boys tonight. Just us three. So Tim, last week I talked a little bit about me shooting manual, and I went out and shot some manual mode again this week. And I think I mentioned this. Before, but I am now. Scott, let me ask you, what do you normally shoot in? Manual, aperture, shutter, all of them?
Yeah, I would say probably 95% of the time I'm in manual completely. But depending on what I'm doing, whatever the situation is, I might switch it to Aperture Priority or Shutter Priority. I'm very rarely, probably less than 1% of the time, I'm shooting on any sort of auto. So, yeah, I'd like to stay as manual as possible all the time.
Whenever I started this show, and part of the reason for the show is for me to grow as a photographer too. And I've never tried auto in my camera. I've used mainly Aperture Priority and then some Shutter Priority and some manual. So if I were shooting basketball inside of a gym where the lighting is consistent, I would shoot manual. But if I'm shooting soccer out on the field, I would either do Shutter Priority or Aperture Priority. So I really never thought manual was useful except for in those rare occasions. And then as I started doing the show, I meet you, I meet Tim, I meet Kathleen, I meet so many other people who use manual, and I said, I got to give that more of a try. And I've been using it, and I've actually completely changed my thinking on manual, and now I think it is actually probably, when you get a DSLR, you may want to go straight to manual. Let me tell you what it's doing for me. What it's doing for me is I'm shooting in spot mode, so I get to choose where I want to meter off of. I'm metering off that area, and then it's also forcing me to pay more attention to the viewfinder. I have a tendency to try and rush through things, and I would just shoot away. This is making me pay attention to see if I'm under or overexposed and dial it in right. And I'm really getting the hang of those dials much better than I did before, and I'm liking what I'm getting out of it. Now I'll show you a couple of pictures I took this weekend. Let's see if I can bring those up. Yeah, so you can see a little bit of my son in this photo here. And yeah, what I'm not good at is the posing and everything. I still really stink at the posing, but I'm able to choose. I can't get this to be big enough, but I'm able to choose the lighting much better than before. Mm-hmm. So I think with Aperture Priority, if I were to shoot this, no telling what it would have done and where it will have exposed off of. So I think that for me, I'm going to be shooting a lot more manual. So I've done surveys in our Facebook group before, and I've always clicked I'm using auto aperture mode, not auto. And I think I have to change that now to do in manual.
And I mean, by having it on manual, you have the ability to quickly make an adjustment. Whereas if you're in Aperture Priority, you turn a dial, your shutter speed is gonna try to adjust, and it might make it worse.
Right.
So you have the ability to make a quick adjustment, fix it, and keep going. But for me, shooting in manual is just, aside from having complete control, it's also about just the fun of it. You know, it brings you back to what it's all about, is just that fun of being able to create from a variety, you know, endless possibilities.
Yeah, it actually is getting me excited about going out and shoot again, because it's like something new. I mentioned this before. It's something new. It's like you got a new toy. My camera's kind of new, and I'm going out there and shooting, you know, new, and I'm really enjoying it, shooting in manual mode.
Well, if you read in the chat also, I posted the question, what are people shooting, manual, aperture, shutter, or auto? And vast majority right now is saying manual. And I would have thought we would be in the minority shooting manual.
Yeah.
Until last year, I don't think I ever did, or rarely, if ever.
Yeah, and somebody asked out in chat, how did I get the blur background? You know, the blur is mainly due to the aperture, but also somewhat the focal length too of the lens. But in this case, mainly to do with the aperture. So I was shooting at probably f2.8 or f2.2 maybe as a 1.8 lens. So I was shooting at one of those two, and he was looking straight into the sun. That's why I couldn't get him to open his other eye. So it's not so much that I'm showing you great photos. I also didn't remove some of the acne and stuff like that.
So were these shots of your sexy son?
Yeah, so Scott doesn't know about that. This is my 16-year-old son, and he wanted sexy photos for his Facebook page, and I said, there was absolutely no way I'm taking sexy photos of you for anything. But I said, you know, we can go out and take some decent photos. So this is another thing I started thinking about, and I wonder how many other people have the same issue. So I said, let's go out, you know, let's take some photos other than just in your room sitting by the window. Let's go out and take some photos somewhere else. And so we got in the truck and started driving away, and I said, so wait, where is this somewhere else? Where are we going to go? And I drove around, and I realized I really don't have a lot of good places that I already know about in my general area to go shoot in. You know, I know some landscape shots where I want to go shoot. Of course, the sports, but who cares about that? But I know the landscape spots. I'd never really thought about portrait shots. Where would be good spots? So I started driving around. We ended up by the river. And I came real close to calling Kathleen, because she lives in the same area as me, and asking where would be a good spot to go shoot. How about you guys? Do y'all have spots you know of as like a go-to spot in your area?
Well, there's one spot near me that is, I've used it a couple times for family portraits. It's a nice park, which I've actually photographed the pond that's there. I've done that, many landscapes and reflection shots and sunsets and whatnot. But I've done a lot of family portraits there. I like to go there to, you know, it's familiar to me, but I also like to explore new places, of course. I actually got an email, sort of on the topic of scouting, I guess. I got an email 2 weeks ago from someone asking me to look at a new iPhone app, which actually is designed only for photographers to find locations. It's basically a social scouting app.
You know what's crazy? You know what I was about to tell you after this? Is I have a great idea. I think it's the same idea. I always come up with ideas a week too late. Go ahead, Scott.
If anyone wants to, if anyone has an iPhone, and it may work in an iPad as well, I'm not sure, do a search in the store for Shoot Local, one word, Shoot Local. It's pretty cool. I haven't used it for an actual gig yet, but I played around with it, and it is pretty neat.
I am always a week late. So what my big theory was going to be is, or big thought was going to be, is it would be great if somebody had a website where you can upload like photos from your phone or something that says, here's a good location to go, you know, if you're in my area. Obviously, you know, Scott, you live in a different part of the country to me, and what's local to you won't be good for me. But if I was up in that area visiting, or if, you know, if you were someone that lived in my area, to have a database of all these good places, and you have to say a little bit about it, like private property, not private property.
Right.
You know, maybe say some other things about it, easy to access, you know, safety, all these type of things. And if you had the longitude and latitude, if you had the GPS data, then, you know, there you go. And it sounds like that iPhone app is somebody's already thought of it and they're already on it.
Yeah, I was just looking it up in iTunes because I don't have an iPhone, but I do have an iPad, and I wonder if it would work with that. I would imagine it would just be double-sized.
Right, right.
That's a great idea, and that's something that would have really helped me because I couldn't think of a good place. I was really wanting to find a place with like an old barn or an old building or something like that. And everyone I came across, there was a gate up, and I'm sure there's a dude with a shotgun on the other side somewhere. So I wasn't about to go up there and take photos.
Yeah, like I say, I don't have any specific place I go. I wish I did up here in Long Island. I really probably would need to look more often out in places, but I always wind up catching myself taking pictures of my son's sporting events or family functions, or of course Disney when we go there. That's obviously a favorite of mine.
Yeah, I need to get Kathleen to just take me out and give me some pointers because I got some problems with posing. The beauty about shooting sports is you just shoot away.
Right.
Yeah. So Scott, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is you do and how you got into photography?
I am a freelance photographer in New Jersey, and I photograph portraits, family portraits. I do some commercial work for clothing company, clothing designer actually. Been doing some real estate work. Pretty much, if someone wants to hire me for something, I'll shoot it. I'm not a big fan of event photography, but I will do it if the opportunity comes my way. But I got into photography in high school, even though I didn't take any photo classes in high school.
You like shooting for the paper or something, or the school paper?
I always took pictures for myself, just played around. But my biological father and my grandfather were very into photography, and I inherited cameras, Nikon equipment, which is why I went towards Nikon. I had the equipment. So basically, I just took what is in my blood and just kept learning. And I wound up going to music school straight out of high school and then switching to photography, and haven't stopped since. So,
Tim, you watch the noise. Are you muted?
I actually thought I had it mute. That wasn't on mute?
No.
Okay.
Yep, that's right. Okay, sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
It's okay.
So you went into music?
Yeah, I went into music. I went to a music school in Boston, and then realized that music wasn't for me as a career option. So I switched to photography, and I've been pursuing that ever since. But because I'm a freelance photographer, photography is not what I do full time. I used to be in the industry full time. I was working for the Mac warranty company for 6 years, and now I'm in the IT security industry doing marketing. So,
Mac warranty, that's warranty you could buy, extended warranties you can buy for your camera, right?
Right, cameras. I mean, they have warranties on everything: cell phones, appliances, everything.
Yeah, I've never used it before, but I have heard of it before. So you can get like an extended warranty on your camera, or like you said, other things too, but on your camera. Now, I guess, is that a big business?
Yeah, there's a lot of money in it, but things got tighter because competitors came out, and the company had to come out with new warranty options. So like now they have one that covers everything except fire or whatever. But I mean, they got stuff that covers pretty much everything, which is cool.
Yeah. Okay. So you said you use Nikon, but what camera do you shoot with?
Currently, I have two D700 bodies.
Ooh.
Yes, and
Nice.
I actually made a decision recently to eventually, when finances and time permits, to sell one of the bodies. And because I love shooting manual, I'm going to eventually switch one of my bodies to a Leica M9, and get as pure as possible without losing any image quality. Still have that function to shoot professionally. The landscapes that I would get from that would be phenomenal. So I'm really excited to do that down the line. But currently D700 bodies. I have Nikon's trifecta of lenses, that the 24 to 70, the 70 to 200, 14 to 24. They're all workhorses. They're phenomenal lenses.
Is this it right here? I have up in the. I don't know if you've got the. You might not have the video playing.
That is the M9. Yes.
That is the M9. That's the one you're looking at.
And the price tag, yeah, not a fan of the price tag.
I did not show that, but the price. Holy moly! Yeah. So if you're looking for the price tag.
Price tag's not fun.
This is B&H. Holy moly, that's like a D4.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
why is I guess it's 18 megapixels? It looks something like a point and shoot.
It's mirrorless for one.
Okay.
You're getting obviously the ability to have the Leica lenses.
Yeah.
It's built really well, extremely well, compared to the other mirrorless cameras out there that are plastic. This is actually a metal, or the magnesium alloy, whatever the material it is. It's that, it's it's a heavy duty material. It's extremely manual, and it's portable. It's I can carry it anywhere and not have the weight of a D700 body, basically.
Now, so you talk about full frame, you talk about crop sensor. What would this category fall into?
Oh, it's full frame. It's full frame, 18 megapixels. Yeah, and it's compact.
Now this, yes, that's what next question I was going to ask you. The compactness. Sometimes seeing the photo here is a little bit deceiving because you don't have something to reference the size of it. What size? I mean, how does that compare in size?
It's roughly the same size, if not a little smaller, than the Fuji X100, the really popular mirrorless. The difference is that, one, people always complain about the focus. Even though this would be manual focus. The Fuji, people complain about the autofocus.
Yeah.
And the lens doesn't come off, which a lot of people, it doesn't bother them, but I like having that ability to change the lenses. I like, I'd rather have a bunch of compact prime lenses and switch them than being stuck with one lens.
They're listing the camera at 5.5 inches by 1.5 by 3 and only weighing 21 ounces, not even 21 ounces. So it's a light camera, small and light.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to look at, hold on.
I see in the chat, Rosh is saying he was looking at a rangefinder lately too. Hey Rosh, which were you looking at? Because there are so many options. I'm curious because they are becoming more popular, but it's such a tough decision to make.
Okay, so I'm going to show you something here. I don't know if y'all have ever seen this site, but this is a camera size comparison. It's if you ever want to go and look at size comparison of the cameras, you can compare the size of a camera you have. You can compare the size of camera you're thinking about if you want to see what the size difference is. So here you got your current D700 without the battery grip added on it, and the M9 next to each other.
Yep. Crazy.
Yeah.
And then you add the grip. So here's my D700 with the grip. And it's.
I'll add you here, and
that's humongous in comparison.
Hold on. Go ahead and show it again. I need to bring you back up. Yeah.
And it's heavy.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Now, it looks like you had the bracket on that. Is that a Real Right Stuff bracket?
It is.
Bracket?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really Right Stuff makes unbelievable, ball heads, tripods, and brackets. The L bracket is really the way to go, because when you go vertical with your camera, you're keeping that stability. The camera being perfectly straight, and so you're not going to have any wobbles or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, their stuff is incredible.
Yeah, I have the BH50. I think it's the BH55 or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. The ball head.
Yep.
Their biggest ball head. I love that ball head. And then I also have the L bracket for my D2H, my D2X, and I love the L bracket. With the L bracket, it's basically what you're saying. So you're looking here at a D4, and this has the built-in grip next to your M9. The L bracket is just like you think. It's an L.
Right.
It comes down the one side, and then goes along the bottom. And what that's doing is it's a metal bracket that allows you to slide it into, your ball head on your tripod, either in vertical or in horizontal position. And it's really nice and convenient. But this shows you, the D700 will be about this size with the built-in with the add-on grip.
Yep.
And if it's anything like my D100, actually the add-on grip made it a little bit taller than my D2X with the built-in grip. So it may actually be a slight bigger than this, but this gives you a size comparison of the Nikon D4 versus the M9.
See, and I originally had the D3 when that came out, and then when Nikon announced the D700s, I realized, okay, I don't need this big of a camera all the time, and I could sell my D3 and pick up 2 D700 bodies.
Yeah.
So, it just made more sense. And, those were the D700 and the D3 were the same camera, except the D700 had the sensor cleaning feature and didn't have the grip built in, whereas I now have the option for it.
Yeah. So now, which brand? L bracket? It's Really Right Stuff is the name of the place. They have really good ball heads also, and they have a lot of stuff. I mean, it's not just ball head and L brackets.
And for those who care about the quality of build and where things are made, Really Right Stuff is made in the U.S.
Yeah.
The individual parts to the compiling of the product, everything is in the U.S., which is, really, really cool for those who care where their tripods are built. But
yeah, and even outside, I mean, their quality is just really
Yeah.
good. I've got the L brackets, like I mentioned, on my cameras, and it actually provides a little bit of protection too, because I ain't got this hard metal bracket
Yep.
around the side of the camera.
Yep.
You can really beat up a mugger or something with it. Well, Scott, what would you say is you actually mentioned a lot of different stuff that you shoot from real estate to events, even though you don't necessarily like the events. What would you say is your favorite thing to shoot?
My favorite thing to shoot by far are landscapes. Just having that complete control over the situation, being able to take my time and do what I want, and visualize the outcome, without having a client telling me how the result's supposed to be. Being able to do it all with my creative vision that's what I love.
Yeah.
So no matter how I'm doing the landscapes, it's always fun.
Now, I know most of your real estate photos you can't show us. They're private,
Right.
Private people. You did have a couple. Let's see if I can find it. I got so many here that I don't know if I'm going to be able to find which one. Okay. They're slowly coming up. Those are all ones we'll go over later. But so I only have a couple that you had on your website that you can actually show us. And I guess this is the avenue that photographers can get into is shooting homes. I imagine this is for a real estate agent or something like that that's wanting to sell. Is that normally what your real estate shots are?
A lot of them, they're all very different. I've got a couple clients. One that flips foreclosures, and those I can share. But the problem is that most of the time when it's before photos, who wants to see it?
Yeah.
It looks like a house that shouldn't be standing anymore.
Yeah.
But some of them are realtors that hire me to do insurance work. So really big houses that need, for whatever legal purposes, they need photos of the rooms. So I have to remove all personal items before the photos, plus I can't really share all of them. So this happens to be one of them, and it's not my favorite, but it got the job done.
Yeah, no, it's something completely different. So that we've not had on here before, but it's a different area of photography. And I guess I would have thought that you know, the real estate agent would just go get their point and shoot, but you know, they probably want a good quality photo to help them sell, or the real estate flipper, or whatever you had mentioned there before. They want a good quality photo they can sell, and you're not going to necessarily get that from someone who doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is, let's see if I can find it, is you love TiltShift lenses too, don't you?
I really love TiltShift lenses. I had one many years ago, and I got it on eBay and then made the poor choice of selling it. And it actually was an older version, so in one way, it was a win for me because it was really just a shift. And now I have an actual tilt shift. So that effect that you're seeing in this photo is, you know, I'm focusing on the middle shopping cart, and I'm actually using the tilt effect sideways on the lens. With tilt shift lenses, you can rotate how you want the tilt and how you want the shift.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the tilt and what the tilt and shift means?
Well, so really, the intended purpose is to straighten out lines. So you can, if you're looking up at a building, you can tilt a little bit and straighten out lines, or you can shift a little bit and get the frame. If the top of the building's not in the frame, but you can't get any higher, you can shift it up a little bit more, and then you can get the top of the building in a little bit more. So it gives you some more flexibility over how the lines look in the building and what is in the frame, the depth of field if you want to you know, mess with that.
Is this sort of like a fisheye lens that you can control the
Actually, I was thinking
fisheye?
more like a lens baby.
Yeah, I was going to say that
Right.
most people probably heard about Tilt Shift through the Lens Baby series.
Yep. It's Lens Baby is basically the same principle as a tilt shift, except it's on like a, what was it, like a spring-ish type system, or to that they now have the ball system, I believe. So,
Right, they have the little knobs that you can kind of lock it in place also.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, a tilt shift lens is basically a professional version of a Lens Baby, if you want to put it that way. If you want to, I have the tilt actually on my D700 right now. So if you wanted to pop it back, I can show everyone what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm back over to you. Okay.
Now, those aren't cheap lenses either.
No, and I actually got this one used on eBay. So as you can see it, am I in? Is it in there?
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah.
So it looks a little strange for a lens. It's kind of got that
does.
square look. You can see the many knobs that it has. So for instance, the tilt would be this knob, and if I tilt it, you can actually see the lens.
I can see the lens move
Right, it
left to
actually
right.
moves the lens.
Or is that I can't tell if that's left or right or up and down.
Right now it is up and down.
Okay.
But here's the cool part. So I can, there's a switch that'll let me rotate.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
And now I can go left and right.
That's really neat.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the same thing is for shift. Shift, however, is, let me spin this again. So shift is me going forward and backwards, sort of just literally shifting, there's no tilt movement.
Okay.
So, yeah, it is an expensive lens. You got to have a purpose for it if you're going to use it. One of which landscapes are great for it. Architecture work is great for it. It's actually one of the, in my opinion, one of the best lenses you can get for real estate, because you don't want anything wider than 24 millimeters, really. Otherwise,
you start getting distortion.
Yeah, you start getting some distortion. It doesn't look too good. Like the photo that you had up before was with a 14 to 24. Is when I first started doing real estate, and you know, I was just playing, you know. So
The real estate shot.
You mean
Yeah.
like the one with that blue room?
yeah, yeah,
I mean, well, if you don't have a very wide angle lens, you may not get the whole room in it.
right.
I mean, will
But,
will you be able to get that with tilt shift though?
probably not as much. but at the same time, it probably wouldn't have hurt so much. You know, I might have gotten just about the ends of the chair on the left and the love seat on the right. You know, I might have gotten just the seat backs.
Mm-hmm.
So the room wouldn't have looked as big, but it probably would have looked more natural.
Okay.
But I think the real estate agents are probably looking to show it as a big room also.
Yeah, yeah. Yep. So
That's a bad thing with that. And they definitely look bulbous sometimes because you got to use that lens. And while I think we realize that it's probably a wide-angle lens, a lot of people probably do not.
Right. They're wondering what's wrong with this photo.
Yeah.
Not this photo, but yeah, the photo you're talking about.
One thing that I never thought about using the tilt shift for before, but an old colleague of mine told me he started using it this way, and I was like shocked. He's now using it for headshots.
Headshots?
Yeah, he's not tilting or shifting. He's keeping it basically as a 24mm prime.
Huh.
And
so what does that do for you that a 24mm prime wouldn't do?
if you already have it, you don't have to buy another lens.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, so I never thought about using it for what it really wasn't designed for, but you know,
yeah,
part of the fun of photography.
Part of the fun, doing different things. So the interesting thing with this is I don't know how good it comes through in chat, but and you have this. I think I know it's on your Google Plus page, which we'll put a link in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be on your website too, but it's it has a really interesting depth of field that's going on. That's one of the amazing things about tilt shift or lens babies is that depth of field is really amazing. And you had some other ones. This one is one I think you wanted me to talk about that'll come up here in a second. At first glance, it does not look like tilt shift. It looks just like a normal shot. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing in this one?
So for this one, I didn't want to get just the standard under the bridge shot. This is in New York, and what I wanted to do was sort of add some something a little more surreal to it. So I used the tilt option, and if you look closely at the top of the bridge, you'll see that it looks like it's tilting. It's actually as if cars might slide off the side of the bridge.
It looks like you got a banked bridge for like a race.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look like that.
Yeah, you can see the left side's definitely tilted up.
It's it's in the spirit of NASCAR.
Yeah, so I mean, just a little bit, it just shows you, like, you know, the power of a lens like this, that, you know, it's meant to clean up lines, and yet I'm distorting lines by using the same feature, you know?
Yeah.
Just, you got to know what, how to use it the right way before you can use it the wrong way and make it work for you.
Yeah, that's a lot about photography, is knowing the rules before you break the rules.
Yep.
Because all the rules are meant to be broken. I think this is let's see if I can get this one to come up. Is this one another tilt shift? It's coming up.
The prison buttons?
Is that what that is, prison buttons?
Oh, yeah. Eastern State Penitentiary in Philly. One of my favorite places to go photograph.
There's no prisoners in there anymore, are there?
No prisoners. It's the oldest prison in the United States.
Okay.
It's basically an open museum now. If anyone is ever in Philadelphia, highly recommend it. You have to pay for a tripod pass, and you're not supposed to take studio portraits, but just, you didn't hear from me, but if you bring a couple wireless strobes, you might be able to get some in without anyone noticing. Basically, these are the buttons that opened the what was it? The death
Jail
row.
cells?
Death row cell.
Death
Death
row.
roll.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So cell block 7 or cell number 7 was what I was focusing on, and yeah, tilt shift a little bit, just enough to bring out bring out the depth just to the one button.
Yeah, tilt shift provides some amazing depth of field.
Yep.
It really makes a shot interesting, I think.
Yep. And the lens is an f3.5, so you wouldn't think that the depth of field would be you know, so
So
that
shallow.
dramatic,
Yeah.
but you can add it. You can add it if you want it.
You can add it or subtract. Can you subtract it?
Not really, because if you tilt back the other way,
Yeah.
you're gonna just get it just sort of the opposite effect.
I like this one too. This is and I picked these out just going through your stuff. I like this one. This is I imagine this is a tilt shift because here's what's odd. If you normally if you didn't know this was tilt shift, I would say what did you do in Photoshop to make the shrubbery in front out of focus, but the sign America, is it American, is in focus. It looked like they're close to the same focal plane, but yet you've got one thing in focus and the other thing out. How did you manage to do that without Photoshop editing? And I think that is the beauty of tilt shift, right?
Yep. So I put my camera on the tripod, put it up as high as possible, and not only was this a tilt shift, but this is also an HDR.
Yes. So
just a slight amount of tilt. I don't remember if I tilted up or down. Usually I can't remember that part, but yeah, just the right amount. And then your aperture also matters. So with the tilt shift, you don't want to close up too much because when you're tilting or shifting, because you'll get some vignetting.
Yeah. Okay.
So I might have closed the aperture up just enough to not make it look too obscure. Okay. But yeah, I mean, I was so happy with this. I had maybe 20 other locations in front of this building that I was trying, and straight on worked the best.
Yeah, no, this one's great. I like this one. All right, so let's see. You talked about HDR. This next shot is going to be an HDR shot that I'm going to pull up of yours. What city is this?
I think you're going to pull up the Boston one. I'm pretty sure you are. Yeah, my favorite shot ever.
Yeah, I love this one as I went through. Obviously, you got the sun coming through behind those buildings.
This was one of the most difficult days that I ever shot a landscape. This was 2 worldwide photo walks ago. Okay. I went up to shoot with my friend Brian Matias, who's with On1.
Okay.
And he happened to be hosting a photo walk, one of the worldwide photo walks in Boston that day. So we're walking around, and it was such a hazy, gross, disgusting day. There was no sunlight. It was just gross the whole day. And at one point, I saw that the sun was coming through, and this one building was blocking it. And this is what I saw, but I had to shoot 17 brackets.
17. Wait, 17. This is a 17 bracket HDR shot?
I might not have used all of them, but I definitely shot 17.
Wow. So it wasn't like you shot a series of 3 or a series of 5 and said, okay, let me shoot another series of 5. Let me shoot another series of 5. How wide of a range of exposure did you have?
At this time, it was probably 1-stop increments, just so that I got every possible option. Sometimes when I'm shooting HDR, and friends of mine often, make fun of me for this, but sometimes I like to, with HDR, to overshoot just so that I'm sure that I got it if I'm not sure.
Right.
Sometimes you need that one extra bracket to fill in a gap somewhere. Yeah. And for this case, it worked so well. Yeah, I mean, I had it printed with on canvas from Artistic Photo Canvas.
Yeah.
And it looks amazing on canvas.
It looks gorgeous, yes.
It looks gorgeous, especially the water, considering all the shots you took with it. You got that boat on the bottom left, which is, I assume, was moving at that point because you see the trail behind it. It's a great shot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I don't know how many people out in chat have shot HDR, but I think a lot of them have probably heard of it. And so, obviously, I know Nikon is a little bit better than Canon as far as how many stops it can do in bracketing, but even Nikon can't do 17.
Right.
Did you do this completely manual?
Promote control. If you've never seen a promote control, it's basically mini computer that acts as a cable release. Works with Nikons and Canons.
Okay.
Has an HDR mode, and there's unlimited amount of brackets that you can do. But you have to get the right exposure to start with in order for it to figure out, how wide you should go, how many brackets you should do.
Wait, so it's figuring out how many brackets you should do? How does it know?
Well, no, you can tell how many, but it tells you if you're going to overdo it. It tells you if your camera can't handle it, you're going to run out of shutter speeds and apertures.
Oh, when it's saying how many you can do, it's the limits of the camera, not get the exposure. It's not doing exposure readings.
Right.
So say what was promote control?
Remote control, yeah. Here, I'll link it up.
I put a link to it in the
show notes.
Show notes.
Okay.
And
so
I just put one in the
chat.
In the chat as well.
Yeah, thank you, Tim.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but they do other stuff than just HDR. They have a time lapse mode. They can act as a regular cable release. So I mean, you gotta just like the TiltShift, you gotta plan on using it if you're gonna buy it.
So I think after looking at your Leica and hearing you just now say it's not cheap, I need you to put it in perspective a little bit, because what you might not consider cheap may be different for us.
Promote control, I think, is $250.
Okay, that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
But for a cable release.
You're right. For a cable release, it's very expensive.
Yeah, B&H is selling it for $329.
But the thing that you find, and I know anybody who's new in photography, they find this is it just never ends. There's gear, there's computer equipment, there's software, there's lenses and bodies and things like this. It just never ends. So you could definitely spend a lot more money on something in photography than that.
Oh, yeah.
But that sounds, if you're going to be using a lot, that's pretty good.
Yep.
So 17 exposures. You might not have used all of them. And what program do you use to blend this all together?
So for my landscapes, most of the time, I am using Photomatics, and then I'll bring it into Lightroom or Photoshop or the On1 software, whatever I plan on using, and I'll just do it that way. Photomatics is probably the best of all of them, and their new ghost reduction tool is great.
Who's ghost reduction?
Photomatics.
Oh, yeah.
They have that new ghost. We can do the marquee and then gone. It's unbelievable.
So let me ask you about that, because I do shoot a lot of HDR myself, and I use Photomatics also. It's like that boat that Tim mentioned earlier that's moving across there. Obviously, when you're shooting 17 frames, that boat was all over the place.
Yeah.
How did you make the boat look so still in this photo?
I believe that I was lucky enough that Photomatics, that when they built in the ghost reduction tool, I was testing their beta version. So I'm pretty sure I used their beta version when I did this.
So you think it just did it itself? It found the ghosting?
Well, no, you have to marquee it, and then it'll remove it. But yeah.
That's something a lot of the stuff I'm shooting in HDR, there's nothing moving in it, because I'm worried about my editing skills on the back end to get rid of the moving. So I haven't had to use the marquee that much. I've just used I think it's got an auto mode for the ghosting.
Yep.
I've just used that, and I haven't had that much problem. So you mentioned On1 Software. I want to give everybody a warning. We're going to, in a few minutes, I'm going to start getting a list of names of people. So if you are out in chat and haven't logged in yet, make sure you log in before I start getting a list of names.
I did see a comment in the chat about why not just change the shutter speed. One thing I can't stress enough, no matter whatever you're shooting, whether it's HDR or just portraits, always have a backup plan. One day I was going out shooting, and I got to New York to meet up with a buddy and realized that I forgot my cable release. And I was planning on shooting HDR that day. I forgot my promote and my regular cable release, which is also usually in my bag. So the entire day I was planning on shooting, that's also Eastern State Penitentiary, by the way. Sorry, off topic. I was planning on shooting HDR, and I wound up having to shoot my brackets completely manually, one by one, using the 2-second self-timer.
Ah.
So, again, if you're going to use a tool, know how to do it, other ways. Know the technique so that you can do it. Have your backup plan, So you can still do HDR without any cable releases, just with self-timer.
And that's what I use. I use it's the self-timer, or is it the the thing where it would take multiple shots over interval or something like that? And I just set it up to take one shot in, I think, 2 or 3 seconds, with a release in 2 or 3 seconds. So what happens is it's going to take the one shot, but since you're bracketing, it's actually going to take however many brackets you tell it to take. So I go to the menu. I've got the menus down. Left, right, step away, and then it'll wait the 2 3 seconds, and then boom, it'll shoot through the 3 5 7 whatever I tell it to do.
Right.
Somebody asked. Let me go back to that photo before we do something. This one, if there's cats in this penitentiary, I didn't. Yeah, I see that now. Yeah. Melissa saw that. I see at least 3 cats.
Okay, so Eastern State Penitentiary has artist installations all over the prison, and one of them was called the Ghost Cats. Okay. It's supposed to represent a family of cats that lived there when the prisoners were there. Okay. I believe the cats have since been removed. They were there for years, and I think the installation is done now. Okay. But yeah, I mean, they had cats all over the place.
No, not real cats.
No, little wooden white statues of some sort.
Okay, so that's cats, but not real ones. And right. This looks like it is a black and white HDR.
Correct.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Black and white HDRs, they don't always look very well. Yeah. And this was probably when I first started playing with HDR. So I think if I was to do this shot over again, it wouldn't be so gritty and grungy, but I always love coming back to this.
Yeah, the thing I've done recently, everybody has their feeling about HDR. Sometimes it's, they like it more cartoonish. Sometimes you like it less cartoonish. Everybody has their own feeling. With me, and you got this something going on here too, is I've been letting things go to black a little bit more. I used to, when I started doing HDR, is wanting to have everything exposed well. Mm-hmm. And it looks unrealistic, and so now I'm letting some things go to black, and I think it actually is coming out for me the way I like it. Photography is an art. There's no right way or wrong way. It's what you like. So for me, I'm liking letting a few things go black. Not just totally dark in the whole photo, but some things go to black. It makes it a little more realistic looking.
Yep.
Okay, so why don't you tell us a little bit about On1? I'm going to bring up their little website here. Not little website, but their website. And if you'll do that, I am going to go out and chat now and start getting names, and then hopefully I can be done by the time you're done talking about it, but maybe talk slow.
So On1 was generous enough to donate their entire suite, which is priced at $300, which is pretty. It's up there. And the fact they're giving it away is so generous of them. So there's 7 products in the suite. The suite is brand new, redesigned from the ground up. It used to just be a Photoshop plugin, and then became a Lightroom plugin, etc. Now it's also a standalone software, but it will also work with Photoshop and Aperture and Lightroom and Photoshop Elements. So the 7 products, there's a perfect portrait, which has face detection in it. It'll help clean up skin tones, eyes, lips, all that, teeth, everything. It has presets built in where you can enhance individual features of a face, and smooth skin, do some airbrushing effects. Fantastic tool. Layers for photographers, or perfect layers, is sort of like a Photoshop. It will actually open PSD files natively. So if you were to create a file PSD and hit save, PSD is the native format. It has your layers options, your masking, just like Photoshop.
And did you say it was also something like Lightroom?
Yes. Well, overall, it doesn't. The Perfect Suite doesn't have a sort of like that collection gallery type feel, but a lot of the functionality is just like Lightroom with the easy sliders and histogram and whatnot. Perfect Effects, what used to be called Photo Tools, and there's some phenomenal effects for landscapes, for portraits, some dramatic effects, some simple effects. You've got old school darkroom effects where you can, with dodging and burning, things like that. You can do masking, and just like the Nik software, how they have that the U point, they have it. They call it the bug, and that's majority of their plugins.
Yeah, and if anybody's ever used Nik, I love Nik software. I love that U point is it's a big help. So they have something like that.
Yes, they call it the bug. Perfect Mask is another option. If anyone's ever used Topaz Remask, similar thing. Just easy way to mask. Remove a background. Perfect Resize for anyone who is looking to print on canvas or print on something larger than what their photo is intended. Does these really cool effects where there's even an option, so if you're printing on canvas, you can build the edges around the wood frame of the canvas. It'll actually duplicate and reverse the ends of your photo so that you don't lose any photo, and it looks seamless when it in the gallery wrap. So that's pretty cool. Focal Point, which anyone who wants a tilt shift without buying a tilt shift, Focal Point, you can actually duplicate a tilt shift in the software. A lot of photographers have been switching and using Focal Point more than their actual tilt shift, because you can get your straight shot. If you don't need a tilt but you want to add it later, you got the option. It's pretty cool. And then Photo Frame is also included. Cool border effects. So yeah, I mean, that's the suite, and
okay, I think
someone's going to win it.
I'm thinking I'm missing one name here, and then whoops. All right. So the way what we're going to do here is Scott is going to. I've got the names of everybody who was logged out in chat just a second ago, excluding you and me, Tim, and excluding you, Scott. Sorry.
Oh.
And Scott is going to pick a number between 1 and 19, and then I will we'll say who the winner was, and then I guess what will they do? Contact you and get because this is a digital download. You'll be able to download this. We won't have to mail you anything. You can download it, and then you'll give them the code, the license code.
Basically, either they can email me direct, or if you have their contact info, and you can send it to me. Either way, all I have to do is supply On1 with the name and email address of the winner, and then they'll take care of getting them the license.
Very good. We appreciate that very much. This is a very nice software package that someone's about to win. So, Scott, pick a number between 1 and 19.
Well, because my nephew was born last month on the 13th, I'm going to have to go with lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13. So I am going to cut and paste that into chat here and let you say the person's name. Can you see chat here? And not chat, in the Google Hangout chat.
Oh, okay.
It's to the left about pictures.
Yep.
Scott is not a veteran of Google Plus. He knows Google Plus. Okay.
So the winner of the On1 suite is Melissa Sanchez.
Congratulations, Melissa.
Congratulations.
It'll probably take about another 4 seconds before she hears it.
And so, Melissa, I'm not sure I have your video frozen. I can see the video. She has. This is Melissa's actually second time. Completely random. She picked. Scott picked the number. He didn't even see who the names were. So congratulations, Melissa. Melissa, can you email me, and then I will send that to Scott. Just email me, Melissa, at podcast@jpeg2RAW.com. Or through Facebook, however you want to do it. Now, for those who didn't win, remember, we still have, if you don't have Lightroom already, we still have the Lightroom giveaway that we're doing that runs to the end of March. And depending on if I had that upside down, didn't I? Anyway, you know what Lightroom is. Depending on if the other copy ever comes, I may have a second copy of Lightroom to give away too.
Nice.
Yeah, so what it is you just go and just sign up. There's just 3 easy things you got to do for the Lightroom giveaway is like the page, join our group, and subscribe to the podcast. We really Melissa, once you get that On1 software and start to use it, we'd love to hear what your thoughts on it and how you like it. I know there's some big names. Kobe Brown. Now I'm forgetting her name. Nicole Z, I think, is one of the things she goes by. Nicole, what's her last name?
I always forget her last name too.
I do too. But there's a lot. If you go to their page, there's a lot
Nicole
of
Young.
Nicole Young, that's it. There's a lot of these big name photographers who are using this now. So it's a very interesting software. And if you didn't win now, do they have a trial on their website?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They definitely have a trial. And actually, we can top that off because. If anyone can do this, hold on a second. Let me find out where. I actually have a discount code.
There you go. So now everybody will win.
Yeah. If anyone wants to purchase it, use the code Wyden, and you'll get 10% off. And
hold on, I will put that in case it's up there in the top of the chat window here, but I'm going to put it in here too. Is that your middle name, Wyden?
Yes.
Okay. So if you use Wyden, WYDEN, you get what's the discount?
10% off.
10% off. And if download it, give it a try. It looks very good. I think they have some videos on their site also talking about it.
Yep.
And you mentioned Brian. Was it Brian
Matias?
Matias.
Yep.
He's also very active on Google Plus.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And just so you know, if anyone's got questions about On1, you can shoot me a question or shoot Brian a question. Just go on Google Plus and search for On1 or Brian, and they're so good at answering questions.
Yeah, On1 themselves is on Google Plus, and I see that they're fairly active on there too. Now, what is your actual involvement with them? Do you work for them?
No, I just love their products, and I've been friends with Brian for a while. So when he started with On1. Just fun to help a friend, and they've been great to me, as you can see, giving me a product to give away, which is...
Oh, no, that's great, because that's a very nice, what'd you say, over $300 product.
$300,
yeah.
Now, that's a full suite compared to Photoshop, which is going to be $600-700.
Right.
And it's not a full suite, so...
no, that full suite's like $2,500.
Yeah, so, this is a good alternative. And, regardless of whether you are a Photoshop, devotee or not, having an alternative is always good. You don't want someone to completely dominate the market. You want strong, good competitors out there.
Yep.
And there are some freebies, but this looks like a good alternative that has a lot of the Photoshop power, and it looks like it's much easier to use. I've tried something like GIMP, which doesn't have, it's a decent software, but to me at least it didn't have the ease of use. This looks like it's even more powerful than GIMP and more user friendly, and very good alternative to Photoshop.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So Melissa, we want to hear some feedback, and I think Melissa won the Rachel Brinke workshop too. What I need to do is, Tim, is start a page that has all our winners, and have them give us maybe a quote or two about the winning, and then a quote or two about the actual product, whatever it is they want. You know, and so we'd love to hear back from that.
She says it's been fabulous.
Awesome. And Rachel was a guest that was on our show twice. She's due for her baby this May. And when is your wife due, Tim?
July 19th. Okay. We just had the 20-week sonogram today, and we brought Jack there, and he was very happy. All he wanted to know, boy or girl, I want a brother, but we don't want to find out.
Yeah. So Scott, let me go to a few more pictures here of yours, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I want to. Now there's one. Let's see this one. I want this one, not that one. You'll see it here in a second. The kids on the staircase.
Yeah.
Are those relatives? What is going on here? I like this photo.
Okay. Really fun family. I've been shooting their Christmas photos for 5 or 6 years. Those are quadruplets.
Quadruplets.
And yes, and they were tired of the boring Christmas photos, so they wanted to have some fun.
Okay.
So they started playing on the steps, and I just got a really fun shot, and they actually wound up using that in addition to their Christmas photo. So
gotta have fun sometimes.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So the framing is weird, and you got the you can see like the beam from the ceiling, and the weird doorway behind them, but still a fun shot nonetheless.
Yeah, no, that's a great shot. I like this one too. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in this shot. This looks like I don't know. It's she got something on her face.
Yeah.
Very grungy.
When I decided to switch from music to photography, I wound up going to a county college in New Jersey, and I learned so much there. It was like one of the best experiences. And the final project for me to graduate was to do anything I wanted, but it had to be a series. So I wound up doing an entire series of body art on women, and
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was fun. So I got non-toxic paints and stuff, and the whole trick was to make sure that whatever was painted on them was significant to the person. So this girl happens to be a lesbian, so she was painting the woman symbol all over her body.
So the two lines is
that was just her making a mess with the paint.
Okay.
But it happened to be a really good mysterious portrait. So
I like that photo. Yeah, I like that photo. So what I need to do is just tell my wife I need to take a community college course first, and then choose painting women as my final to get out. I knew I would get something out of tonight.
There you go.
And this shot actually was taken. Kodak had a digital SLR. It was full frame, even before
they were one of the originals.
Yes, and that was my first digital SLR camera.
Was that like that 2 frame per second Kodak?
Yeah, it was slow to no end, and but quality was nice. So
didn't they make that camera also that it could handle different manufacturer lenses? Was it them, or was that Sigma had that?
They did make a Canon version later on, near the end of that camera's lifespan.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, it was a little bit ahead of its time, and that it had more megapixels, I think, than other cameras.
Right, yeah.
And stuff. My first experience with it was when the pro photographer for our soccer league came out to start taking photos of the soccer teams with that camera, and I thought, oh dear God, this guy's going to be out here shooting with a 2 frame per second camera. It's just not meant for that. It's meant for more studio work. And from what I understood, for studio work, it was an excellent camera.
Yep. Only for studio work.
Well, we've just gone past the hour, so what I want to do is open up the chat and see if anybody has any questions for Scott. Anything on the On1 software, or anything on the lens baby, the TiltShift lenses, or anything like that. And I think we didn't get to it, but you had wrote an article on SEO, search engine optimization.
Right.
And if you are, and I don't know how many people this affects out in chat, but if you are somebody that has a website and you're wanting to get more traffic to your website, SEO is very important. And Scott told me before he's not an expert on it, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. But if you maybe just maybe a 1 or 2 minute, what is search engine?
Basically, the search engines, when they look at your site, they're looking at the text, and they're looking at your images, but not as images. So when you share a photo on your website, Google and Yahoo and Bing, they're not looking at an actual picture. They're looking at the alt description in the HTML of that page of the image. So if you share a photo, for instance, of that Boston skyline that we shared before, Google won't see it unless you put in the HTML an alt description of Boston skyline. So then if someone searches Boston skyline on Google, that image will eventually show up. So that's one aspect of SEO. And I'll just put in the chat real quick just so everyone can see what I was talking about.
Well, that's a very important point that I think I've generally skipped adding that alt text to my images.
Yep.
So, I don't know how many other people, but maybe everybody else already knew this, and I'm just, again, behind the times. But that makes perfect sense, that Google's not going to be able to index your photo and do any kind of database indexing of a photo. Right. It needs that alt text to it.
Yep. The only thing that Google does with the actual photo is they'll categorize the color. So they look at the color. They don't look at what's inside.
Yeah, and then somebody mentioned they can't index inside of Facebook. So this would be on your personal website somewhere.
Right.
They're able to index.
Yep. So on top of that, you also have your title matters. So I did a let's see if I can find the article real quick. I did a test when I got married in Mexico in July, and while I was there, I took a photo of a camera store that was in Cancun, and it was called Photo Sexy. That's with an F. Okay. And I put while I was in Mexico, I posted the photo and said, now I'm pretty sure I'm going to get traffic come to my site from the keyword Photo Sexy.
Yeah.
And be it as it may, I get roughly 7 to 10 or so hits a day from the term Photo Sexy. So your blog title, whatever you put in your blog title, it matters.
Yeah, something good and catchy.
Yeah.
That people are going to maybe search for.
But you want it to attract your customer. You don't want it to attract, other photographers. You want to attract who you want to sell your photos to,
Yeah,
unless you're trying to attract other photographers. Like my blog is a mix between customers, like my, the realtors or anyone who's looking for commercial work. But then I also do social media and SEO consulting and things like that. And I do a lot of affiliate marketing. So, I'm trying to attract photographers as well. So I'm writing articles for the customers, and I'm writing articles to the photographers.
Okay. And somebody asked, would keywords work the same way?
Keywords in what aspect? Because your keywords, you don't want your keywords to be in your alt for your photo, but you do want keywords in your content and in your title. Okay. That's a big part of SEO as well.
So maybe they were talking about, if you use Lightroom, you can attach keywords to a photo. Those keywords, are they read at all by Google? So if you
no, they're not looked at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure you add something to that alt text.
Yep.
Okay. Keywords on my website is what they just explained.
Keywords matter. However, you don't want too many. Search engines look at something called keyword density and keyword stuffing. So if you have too much of a specific keyword, they'll actually start hurting your SEO instead of helping.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. Very good. All right. Any other questions out there? And while we're waiting for a question, I want to make sure everybody, remind them about the Lightroom giveaway. You can subscribe to the podcast either on the site. I usually have the show up a few days after the show ends, so sometime by the weekend at least. It'll be on the site. You can subscribe through your Android phone, your iPhone, iTunes. There's 3 feeds: audio, video large, video small, so you can get one of those. And then I think, Tim, I don't know if you don't have to come to this, but tomorrow we're going to do our first jpeg2RAW hangout. Just whoever can come in, I'll start a hangout like we're having here. I'll post the hangout link into the Facebook group, so you do have to be a member of our Facebook group in order to join. And then whoever's the first 8 to come in will come in. There's no agenda. We'll just chat, do whatever we want, share some screens. You can come in for 10 minutes, leave, stay for however long. No requirements. So whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's, the one rule is be nice. I get to decide what's nice. So, we want to be nice with each other. And then, we'll hang out for, an hour, maybe. I don't want to go past 2 hours for sure. And just see how it goes. And if that works well, maybe we'll make it a regular thing and do it on a regular basis. I really think, Scott, one of the things is we have a lot of photographers that are all different ranges. Some of them just starting off. Some of them are professionals. So for maybe it wouldn't be so much for the professionals unless they just want to come in and help out. But I think, while it's nice to share information with each other in Facebook and on Google+, it also, these Hangouts are really powerful in that you can, get instant feedback and talk to each other about, questions, and you get those questions answered much faster and maybe more descriptive than you would in text. Plus, you can also share your screen and just, maybe it was a question that, hey, let me pop into Lightroom and show you what I'm talking about.
Yep, Hangouts were a brilliant idea from Google, people are using it just how they were intended, and it's great to see all the Hangouts going on all the time, and a lot of podcasts are now driven by Google Hangout. So and now they have that YouTube Live feature, which is you got to have 1 billion followers on Google Plus to have the feature, but yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless with Google Hangouts. It can only go up. Hopefully, they keep it going and it doesn't crash out like Google Wave did and Google Plus.
Yeah, I think they're up to 90 million subscribers, but I do hear that a lot of people are spending less time there and they're maybe coming back to Facebook. I think that both can exist. People ask me, which one should I be on, Facebook or Google Plus? And to some extent on both. Yeah, it depends. They do different things. My experience, at least, has been they're different things. I think probably if you are, if you're somebody out there who's got, several thousand likes on Facebook and you build your audience on Facebook, you're probably not going to get a lot of business out of Google Plus. Because it seems like the people over there are more professional photographers. I don't think you can correct me or tell me if you think differently, but I don't think you're going to be drumming up a lot of business. What you may do, you may actually get work with them. Maybe if they see your work, say, "Wow, you're pretty good. Let me hire you. Let me have you come on this." So from that standpoint. But I think that you need to be in both. You need to be in both Google Plus and Facebook, and if for nothing else, for this Hangout feature of Google Plus.
Right. Yeah, and for me, I love Google Plus. I love talking with everyone on it and interacting. But it's also I use it as a tool for sales that I make through Facebook. So I may get a consulting gig for an hour of online consulting, which I'll do through Google Plus Hangout.
And hey, I just got the warning that said, "Are you still here?" So you guys be watching for it.
Should be coming up momentarily then.
And anybody who's, I know Scott's probably a veteran at that, but anybody who, when you go to use Google Plus the first time, once you hit that, a little bit more than an hour, maybe an hour and a half, you get this warning that says, "Are you still there?" And if you don't click it, it will kick you out. All right, great show, Scott. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you
very much.
Yeah, I love talking to you about all that stuff. And thank you, everybody out in chat, for coming out. And congratulations, Melissa, if you're still out there. I don't have an email pulled up right now, so if you already sent it to me, I'll find it in a little bit. If you haven't, just send it to me when you have time, and I'll forward it on to Scott, and then let us know how you like that software.
Thanks for hanging out, everyone.
Yeah.
Been fun.
Thank you, everybody. Scott, hang out for just a little bit longer. Good night, everybody.